By far the best section of the secret library, and this video will cover how to hunt here. This is the energy section. Despite all the nerfs this spawn has gotten, it remains quite good and competitive to this day, but in order to access this spawn, you must first have access to the secret library, and once you do the quest, then the spawn is located on the southwest side of the library. Unlike its counterparts, this one has more creatures besides the books and squids, and because of that, it tends to be worse for prey usage, but the creatures that matter the most and have more density are still books and squids. In order to do a 2-hour hunt on this spawn, you will have to bring in extra supplies. I personally would recommend to have the EK running first by himself and drop the extra supplies on the safe area of Energy Library and then TP out with a cube, for them running back in together as a team. Since the run to energy section is quite long, but also the holes are narrow and people could get trapped. Make sure to use poison bombs since at least during the run-in, only the knowledge elementals will walk over them. Defensively, you want to stack up on energy protection followed by physical. You also take some holy, so at least as a EK, especially lower level ones, should consider using a gnome shield with holy imbuement. Or optionally, just go with a high fist reduction like a soul bastion with energy protection on it. I prefer the latter personally. And if you want to use a defensive prey to be safer, then get the brain squids. They are the main source of damage by far. As a mage, you should go with energy reduction as well. Offensively, they are weak to earth and death, and knights get to do a lot of damage if they have a good death weapon because of it, but if not, then earth is still good enough to use. For the shooters, despite their weakness to earth, is not high enough nor does it affect all the creatures, so the runes to use is either avalanches or GFBs, whatever you prefer, or in the case of using runic mastery, then go with the one that matches your vocation. For the wheels, depending on the level, I would recommend the EK to have some points on Executioner's Row, as you will get openings to use on almost every pool, but Exotic Mass is still quite good as well. For Paladins, your options are so limited that the best option is just to use the Divine Empowerment. Since creatures are immune and strong to Holy, it limits your options. For the Druid, go with upgraded Terra Wave and Twin Burst for sure. And for the MS, the Death Beam is quite impactful here, so you might want to consider that, or upgrade to your Fire Wave or Runic Mastery. As for the charms, this is what I would recommend to go with, but if you are limited on charms, prioritize the Squid and Books, and then the Inner Guardians. And as for how long it will take to get the charm, if you follow the laps I will show, then you are looking at around 7 hours for squids and over 8 hours for books with over 10 for Inner Guardians. With that said, let's start with the laps. I'm gonna get out of the way the worst lap and one I wouldn't recommend doing. And while I'm showing it, let me tell you why it's bad. This will be for level 500s, and at that level, you are honestly better off elsewhere. For starters, it only covers the main floor without going downstairs, and that lowers the amount of kills you get on brain squids. It does make the lap a bit easier but less rewarding, as the squids give the most XP, and also by skipping the lower floors, you will take longer to get the squid charm, which is also the most important. Additionally, it is very heavy dependent on tree walls, and if you see my guide to the fire section, after trying hunting without the traps myself, even on low levels, I can say that it's easier than it looks and much better. Reducing the time it takes to set up the traps and the turns missed on attacks is bad for your experience, and despite looking safer, it often takes missing one tree wall for things to get bad and enter in panic mode. Instead, by hunting without trap, as long the EK is good with resing, the race of the mages are fairly low and all the pools have room to move around. So please do give it a chance, and let's break down how to go about that. My level recommendation for this lap is of 600 to 700, the lower you are, the harder it will feel, but at 700 it felt easier than Fire Library to me. The first pool is under the safest spot. Normally, you will be coming from the left, and then EK goes north and stands there. This can also be done to the south side, but we did it this way to lure the creatures on the north right away. Be mindful as a EK to raise any book on the holes and bring it with you. And doing it this way, the pool will have about 2 to 4 extra creatures that the RP can kite around the EK. Then the next pool is downstairs. This will be hard to run through on the first clear, but it's still recommended to run that way. And after the first lap, there won't be any risk running since the creatures will be dead. Anyways, upon going down, EK runs south into the room and does a small lap around to lure creatures. ED and MS will follow closely. Meanwhile, RP stays behind to lure the creatures from the stairs, resulting usually in an A box on the EK and over 4 creatures outside, but with plenty of room for the mages and RP to move around. If this one feels too hard, then you could do a trap style by the left wall, but I don't recommend doing that. Once you're done with this pool, go downstairs and then the EK place one magic wall on the southwest path, and then ED block it off with a tree wall next to it. then EK can stand on the first opening to the north, and that will make it harder for creatures to pass by and go for the mages, especially because the RP can block the one way past the EK. Be careful on this pull as a knight, since it has the most brain squeeze of any other pull and they hit the hardest. Then after you're done, go upstairs, and then EK and mages go north towards the stairs, but take the path to the right. Meanwhile, the RP will have gone east and lures creatures from this hall. Be careful as the RP, since the passage is a 2-square path that makes it easier to get trapped sometimes, but it brings about 4 creatures and makes the XP higher. Then go backwards to the stairs and go up. EK stands close to them by the southeast, and the RP lures a few creatures on the north side by using levitate instead of the stairs. Next up, go southeast and set up around here. Sometimes this pool won't be an 8-box, and other creatures from the sides will come on their own. When possible, I will pick southeast to bring a book or 2 for this pool, but avoid going southwest as that will bring out the binding books from that room, which is the next pool and also one of the most dangerous. Binding books are one of the heavy hitters in library, although they're weak in HP and easy to die. They can do a lot of damage in AoE and especially dangerous for mages or anyone dropping a creature on the EK. For that one, I will even recommend to go in with Utamo Tempo beforehand to be safer, and also to place a mark and map click to it every time, so that you stand on the same spot slightly away from the entrance so the mages are able to get in safer, but mages definitely need to be on mana shield at this low range. Then after that, go to the right and we'll be back to the first pool, hence completing the lap. Hunting like this with an average team of mid 600s, we were doing around the 7kk raw XP before charms, and then with all charms it goes over 7.5kk with them. Then for the next lap, I recommend level 800 to 900 plus, starting up on the same pool under the safest spot, this time EK standing on the south side. Once there, the EMS will run north to lure creatures. Meanwhile, the RP will have gone ahead of everyone into the south room and by now will be coming back with a big lure. Usually by then, most of the creatures on the EK are close to dying, so the RP will be able to drop most of his lure on him. Optionally, this pull used to be done by the wall on the west side with the same lures but side tanking on the RP, but I believe doing it in the open and allowing the AD to tear away is far more impactful. Next up is on the far northwest side, past the stairs to go down. Just like I mentioned before, this will be hard on the first clear as all the creatures will be alive on the way, but it won't be a problem after the first lap. EK and ED are the ones that will go this way and set up at the right side of the room. Meanwhile, MS and RP will have gone straight up north from the previous pool and will be luring creatures from these halls. It can be together or ideally split up and come from different paths to bring more creatures. Then next up, go downstairs and this pool will be the same as the previous lap. EK stands in the middle, mages running around, and RP luring the creatures from the north. But this time, he side tanks near the EK rather than kiting with the mages. Then go downstairs and this pool is also the same. I personally prefer standing in the same spot and having RP and MS be the ones luring the creatures on the sides, but it can also be done by the EK and setting up more in the middle. After this, go upstairs and EK/ED go north and then east. Meanwhile, RP does the same lure as before, and this time the EMS will also be luring from the other path, resulting in more creatures than the previous lap. Then go backwards and up the stairs. This time the EK does a lap around the room and stands by the left. Meanwhile, the RP brings everything around the stairs down to the pool. After this comes the binding book pool to the south, and with that completing this lap. Hunting like this, an average level of 950s, we were doing 9 to 9.5kk raw, and with the same lap minus the pool northwest of the first floor and using the previous characters, we got up to 8.5kk as low 700s. Additionally, a few years back with roughly the same lap, again minus the northwest pool, we were doing over 10kk with an average team of 1.1k. Back then, we were still doing some trap style pulls, like the one I showed before on the first pool by the wall, but the one in the big room on the west was also done with 3 walls, luring roughly the same amount of creatures with the help of the MS and RP. And the reason we were not doing the pool on the northwest is because we didn't need it at the time. Despite having higher level characters, the Wheel of Destiny wasn't introduced yet, so that made a big difference in characters and strength. But either way, that pool is added once you start overkilling the spawn and need to add another pool, otherwise it can be skipped. Also, none of the recordings or experience estimates take into consideration soul cores, so that is still some room to improve further, to perhaps a cap of around the 11 to 12kk raw XP for high level teams. Lastly, in terms of profit, it is the best section of library for that, and it tends to be close to 1kk per person on the high level lap and around the 500k per person the hour on the mid level lap. Keep in mind, profit might vary a lot because of prices of things like prismatic rings and lightning pendants, and green plasma rings or might rings which are dropped by them. With that said, that's all I got for this guide. If you want more options to hunt, check out this playlist, and consider subscribing if you like the content. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to the Guild Causality, Night Star, and Tuna Hero for supporting the channel.